Hi everybody, how are you guys doing today? Once again, this is Dr. Matt, or Dr. Matt Dorsey, if you're not in that whole brevity thing. That was a little joke from one of my favorite movies, The Big Lebowski. Anyway, got a fun topic for you guys today. And for those of y'all who don't know, I am the CHOQ Chief Scientific Officer and Formulator. I'm a doctor of acupuncture, Chinese medicine, and a fan of everything natural healing, natural medicine. I have a deep interest in psychology, did my undergraduate degree in psychology, did my doctorate in Chinese medicine. I'm an herbalist, acupuncturist, clinical nutritionist, and but I really do view health from all possible angles. And I'm going to read a fun blog article that I wrote a while back that has to do with how incredibly divided we are. Have you guys noticed how divided we are? Have you noticed maybe this whole divide and conquer thing that's going on, right? Where there's always some kind of issue where it's this us versus them in two different camps kind of thing, right? Think about it. Why are we so divided? So I wrote this blog on the CHOQ blog called The Virus of Divisiveness. I'm not talking about a real virus. I'm not talking about, C19. I'm actually just talking about almost like a virus of the mind. The virus of divisiveness, of division. On the CHOQ blog. I know it's backwards for you guys, but anyway, I'm going to read from this really fast. It starts off with a great quote. A guy named Ian McLaren said, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." If I got a quote as a tattoo somewhere, it would probably be that one, right? Because, people are acting crazy, right? But there's a reason people are acting so crazy. And again, if you start thinking, what does this have to do with health? Just know, so much health is of the mind. The mind-body connection is very, very real. You can do all the superfoods and herbs and adaptogens you want, and I highly recommend that, obviously, being CSO for CHOQ. But if your mind isn't right, if your beliefs are screwed up, if you're constantly fighting with people and constantly focusing on all this negative stuff and who's wrong, if that's all you're focusing on, that will severely negatively affect your health. So that's why I write articles like this on the CHOQ blog as well. As the pandemic continues to move us into progressively deeper levels of transformational chaos, we're all being asked to simplify, to clean house, to gently extrude those elements of our philosophies from the folds of our minds that are no longer functional and mark them for deletion. 2020 was a year of exposure. 2021 increasingly is as well. Not just exposure in the sense that we're worried about it being exposed to a killer virus, but also in the sense that more and more of what was previously stowed away in the basement of the collective unconscious is being brought to the surface. In particular, a pervasive divisiveness, an us versus them mentality that seduces us into reactionary, black and white modes of thinking that demonize those in the other camp through a kind of lazy, self-serving oversimplification. It's insanely easy to find something to disagree with these days. There's a smorgasbord of wedge topics to choose from. And social media, in fact, likes it this way because it's able to retain us for longer periods of time when we're suspended in the thrall of shock and outrage. Sites like Facebook arm us with the ability to voice our opinions to total strangers, perhaps a cousin's roommate. And unencumbered by the emotional intensity that an in-person debate would engender, we're free to take things to extremes. For many, the online comments has become a safe, quote-unquote, space to purge all kinds of pent-up aggression. But is that really healthy? When we communicate over the internet, it's all too easy to forget that the individuals on the other side of the interaction are living, breathing human beings who have their own delicate array of fears, loves, traumas, and hopes. In moments of judgment, we collapse their humanity into something infinitely smaller and easier to attack. Then and only then, when we've reduced someone to a 300-pixel black and white straw man, can we unleash the full force of our burning need for tribal validation. It's understandable that we're all fanning the flames of divisiveness right now more than usual. That's how people tend to act when they're incredibly stressed out and terrified. But it's time to understand what we're really up against. I would argue that this year we face not one, but two incredibly destructive and exceptionally contagious viruses. One virus is physical, the other one is mental. We're not just dealing with the coronavirus. We're also dealing with the divisive virus. Just as SARS-CoV-2 has the ACE2 receptor, by which it gains entry into our cells for replication, the divisive virus gains entry into our psyches through our sense of fear, panic, and worry. The more fearful and reactive we become, the more receptors we have for it to penetrate into our minds and take us over. inducing us to see things through its viral lens of judgment and polarization, to reduce those who disagree with us to mere caricatures. So just how do we defend ourselves against this hitherto unknown pathogen of the mind? Here are 3 suggestions for how to build your psychic immunity and reduce your chances of becoming a vector for the divisive virus. Now, before I get into these 3 suggestions, just know we live in the era of psychic viruses. We really do. In the era of real viruses, sure, plenty of those, but also in the era of psychic viruses. And the internet is the ultimate vector, the ultimate way for these viruses to transmit. Memes are basically viruses, right? Memes are like genes. It's all about replication, right? We talk about things going viral on the internet, right? It'd be great if this video went viral, right? That's a good thing. But the thing is that the internet has the ability to spread all sorts of messages, both good and bad. And it's important to have psychic immunity, to build your psychic immune system so that you're not taking on these viruses of the mind. Way to build your psychic immunity, number 1, reduce your social media use. Not right now, though. LOL. Because we can't see people in person the way that we used to, we're relying on social media more than ever to connect to friends and family. One has to wonder how this has affected us psychologically, given how differently we tend to communicate online versus in person. Social media is also addictive. By some estimates, as many as 10% of the US population may meet the criteria for social media addiction. A very real problem. Platforms like Facebook and Instagram make use of the same kinds of dopamine reward circuitry that are activated by slot machines. We all have the need for approval. Likes and comments are the new cocaine. Remember, your attention is their primary resource, and thus these companies have gone to great lengths to create algorithms that create whichever emotions are most likely to keep you engaged. They don't care what the emotion is as long as it keeps you on there. Yeah. People love sharing their opinions on these platforms because we all seek validation from like-minded individuals. Of course, we are wired for tribalism. We all want to feel like we're part of something, like we belong. The unfortunate byproduct of this need to belong is that we have to differentiate our tribe from the others. The bad tribe. Our tribe is good, their tribe is bad, right? Social media algorithms take advantage of our wiring by showing us content that produces strong emotions like outrage and disgust in order to keep us hooked, to keep us engaged. We unconsciously enjoy these experiences because they help us bond with other members of our tribe through shared values. The logic goes, if we're both disgusted by this thing that's happening, then we're on the same team and I'm not alone. It's just human nature, right? We don't want to be alone. Nobody does. Of course, we're going to seek to be with like-minded people, but social media is artificially inflating these tendencies and thus fueling the transmission of the divisive virus like nothing else. The video by the Psychology of Technology Institute that I have linked here, that you can see, also talks a little bit about how social media encourages things like outrage and polarization. Obviously, I won't show that video now, but it is in the blog if you want to watch. If you want to get your outrage addiction under control, then deleting social media apps from your phone is a great place to start. Not Instagram, though, obviously. Consider logging out entirely for at least a week or 2. Yeah, definitely take breaks. I take breaks as much as possible. You'd be surprised how much mental clarity you can gain when you do this, not to mention all the extra time for self-care activities like earthing, meditation, nutrition, exercise, yoga, all the stuff that we talk about in CHOQ Nation. Okay, technique for building your psychic immunity number 2. Watch out for limbic hijacking. Stress makes us stupid. Learning about how our nervous systems operate under conditions of stress can go a long way when it comes to making better decisions about what kinds of material to engage with. It can also make you more compassionate because it reminds you of how hard it can be to deal with life when your nervous system is out of balance. In general, viruses tend to feed on our stress response, and the divisive virus is no exception. Limbic hijacking, also called amygdala hijacking, perhaps you guys have heard of it. If not, definitely look it up. Limbic hijacking, also known as amygdala hijacking, is the process by which a stimulus can suddenly shift our neurophysiology away from a calm, rational mode of operation and into a survival-based mentality via the activation of what's called the limbic system. The amygdala is an ancient part of the brain that's especially involved in strong emotions like aggression, fear, and anxiety. It's also a part of our threat assessment circuitry. When you perceive something as a potential threat, the amygdala will begin to activate the fight or flight response. Your higher reasoning centers, your frontal lobes, can then override the amygdala and ensure that your response is relatively rational, calm, and well-reasoned. However, if the stimulus is strong enough, your amygdala's response will prevail, and your brain will then shift into panic mode. Your amygdala has thus hijacked your frontal lobes. Now, incidentally, one of the reasons that taking adaptogens is so important is because it regulates your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. The parts of your brain, right, that do respond to things like the limbic system, that can secrete hormones that then tell your adrenals to then manufacture stress hormones, and that will keep you in fight or flight. So when you're taking adaptogens, when you're doing breath work and yoga and all these different things, you're regulating your nervous system, you're getting yourself out of fight or flight, and you're putting yourself into a calm state where you're less likely to shift into panic mode. According to psychologist Daniel Goleman, who coined this phrase, limbic hijacking, a limbic hijack typically has the three following signs. So these are the three signs that you have been limbically hijacked, whether it's by social media, by a comment from a friend or family member, or a partner, or whoever it is. Sign number 1, intense emotional reaction. Sign number 2, rapid onset. It happens out of the blue. Sign number 3, a realization that the reaction was inappropriate after the fact. Wow, I really shouldn't have done that. That was bad. Right? I kind of regret how I reacted just now. That's limbic hijacking. Part of your survival circuitry has been switched on very powerfully all at once, and you were taken over. Happens to all of us. We're only human. But if you know about it and you understand what to look for, it can help you. Stress hormones are powerful stimulants. In many ways, we live in an adrenaline-addicted society. We love caffeine, amphetamines, all sorts of drugs that boost adrenaline. It stands to reason that our need to be outraged, our need to point the finger at others, is in part fueled by this addiction to stress hormones. Again, social media is extremely adept at pushing our buttons neurologically. Have you ever made an angry comment on a post that infuriated you, only to delete it later when you realized it was over the top? I think we all have. You were probably then hijacked by your amygdala. Sometimes the hard battle that others are fighting is a neurological one. Next time you're quick to point the finger at the enemy, ask yourself, have we both been hijacked? Okay, now, way to build psychic immunity number 3, the very last one, and maybe the most important of all 3 of them. The Buddhist in me really likes this one. Actively cultivate compassion. One thing that most people can agree with, one thing that most people can agree on, despite their religious, political, and philosophical beliefs, is that the world would be a better place if we were all a bit more compassionate. Nothing gets us out of the mindset of judgment and divisiveness faster than remembering the suffering of those who we would judge. Ever been in the following situation? Your partner has had a terrible day, comes home dejected and in dire need of support, but so have you. Which one is the helper and which one is the patient? The answer, you're just going to have to take turns because you're both fighting that same hard battle. The challenges we faced in the last year and a half are immense. It's crucial that we do our best to remember that even though not everyone displays it openly, many of us, if not most of us, are dealing with massive doses of stress hormones and doing our best to navigate an unprecedented situation characterized by mountains of fear, anger, and uncertainty. Done right, compassion is bidirectional. In other words, self-compassion and compassion for others go hand in hand. In that spirit, I have also put in the blog a guided meditation on self-compassion. So if you do read the blog called The Virus of Divisiveness on the CHOQ blog, you can also do this guided meditation here. All right. Psychic immunity is more important than ever. Here's the conclusion. We're all obsessed with the immune system now, and for good reason, right? But we would be remiss if we didn't also take into account the need to defend ourselves against the various viruses of the mind, these psychic viruses I'm talking about. In the digital age, ideas spread like wildfire, right? Like I said, using the term going viral, right? A new era of informational hygiene is upon us. I think that's a really important concept. Informational hygiene, psychic hygiene, right? It relates to building your immunity to psychic viruses, to negative beliefs and attitudes and programs that you can download into your consciousness, into your mind and brain, that will then change how you view reality. So, yeah, informational hygiene, psychic immune system. We have to be more aware of the kinds of media that we consume. Many of us are aware of the dangers of eating large amounts of junk food, right? But how many are still indiscriminately consuming all kinds of information with minimal consideration about its effects on our health? So what is your media diet? What is your information diet, you know? Unplug would be my suggestion. Go out into nature, meditate on the higher virtues like compassion and tolerance. Become more aware of what it feels like to be taken over by emotion. And forgive yourself if you have been taken over by emotion and done stupid things, because we all do. We are all human. No one's perfect. Reflect more on what's the same in all of us, what connects us through our common humanity. Make it a point to see yourself in the other. And if you do these things, then this divisive virus, this virus of the mind, will not be able to affect you, will not stand a chance. So again, like I was saying, I am a natural medicine practitioner. I'm by training a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, right? The reason I love Chinese medicine, or also call it East Asian medicine, because it's all over Asia, right? It's the system that's thousands of years old. And yes, it's usually associated with things like acupuncture, cupping, gua sha, herbalism, nutrition, things like that, right? And we learn all of those things as practitioners. But really, to be a really good doctor of Chinese medicine, you need to be sort of also a doctor of the soul in a sense, and understand things like spirituality and psychology. That's also a huge part of it. It is a very holistic, integrative way of looking at health, right? So, if we just focus on one or two areas, like nutrition does everything or herbs do everything, then we're missing out on all these other things that are absolutely critical, right? And I think that this whole crazy last year and a half has given us an opportunity to also reflect on, like I said, how important it is for your total health, both mental and physical and spiritual, to be more aware of the kinds of information that you're taking in and how many of them could be psychic viruses that are changing how you view reality, changing how you behave toward yourself and other people, and potentially having ill effects on your health. So again, like I said, most of the people on this channel are probably extremely aware that eating fast food and food that is completely filled with toxic chemicals and dead, extremely aware that that is bad for your health. And I'm sure probably none of you hardly do that, except for maybe once in a great while. Right, and you guys know all about herbs and how important it is to have herbs and superfoods, things with vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals and adaptogens, all of that stuff, right? And that's all super important. But when, like I always say on these, there have been very often anyway recently, when you take the adaptogens and the superfoods and the awesome, organic fruits and vegetables and whatever else you eat as part of your healthy diet, and then you add, things like exercise and yoga and meditation on top of that, that's awesome. And then the very, very next level, the even higher level, like I'm talking about, that not enough people take it to, is what is your media diet? What are you taking in? And it doesn't mean it has to be perfect. Sometimes 100% perfect diet is not attainable, and that's not even human, right? So it doesn't mean you can't watch a stupid action movie with people killing each other in it once in a while. It doesn't mean, it doesn't have to be 100%, right? But being aware of the kinds of media you're taking in, and also the sorts of beliefs and energies and programs that you're susceptible to, goes a really, really long way toward your mental health, So that's kind of the idea for today. Once again, if you have only been here for a little bit, I was talking about this blog on the CHOQ blog that I wrote called The Virus of Divisiveness. I know it's backwards, but this is what the graphic looks like, right? And just talking about this whole kind of divide and conquer thing that seems to be happening, where I do feel that, it does seem to serve certain controlling interests that we're just fighting with each other all the time, over all these different things. Not that there aren't things worth fighting for. There certainly are, and we have to. This is a time when we have to draw a line in the sand and say certain things we do not tolerate, stand up for our freedoms, and all that sort of stuff is great, 100%, absolutely. But just know that there is a divide and conquer type of strategy, and that there are psychic viruses, in a sense, you could call them that. Whether or not they were even created by any one particular person for any purpose, or they're just part of the collective unconsciousness, who knows, right? I can't say. But there is the capacity for us to lose sight of what actually matters, and to lose our compassion and get swept up in the fear and the limbic hijacking, and for our adrenals to just be going crazy overload mode. And the more we're fighting with each other, the easier we are to control. I think that's, again, that is the divide and conquer strategy, right? If the population is focused on all these little wedge issues, right, then we're not necessarily focusing on what's really important. We're not really focusing on the real topics. Yeah. So, guys got any questions? Eye-opening right here. I like your perspective on this. Thanks, Kim and Bert. Very cool. Very cool. Let's see here. What else we got? Seems like you guys are digging this, huh? Yeah. All right. Somebody's asking about cacao. Cacao's really interesting, Yeah, somebody mentioned that cacao was a heart opener. Yeah, I mean, as stimulating plants go, cacao is pretty excellent, I have to say. There's a lot of different interesting phytochemicals in it. It's got theobromine. I think you guys probably know about that one. It's got phenylethylamine. Helps to boost dopamine. It works on the endocannabinoid system. Obviously, it's got a little bit of magnesium in there. It's got polyphenols, which are amazing antioxidants. So yeah, very cool. If you're sensitive to stimulants, though, be careful with cacao because it is, it's a stimulant. It has a lot of health properties, but it is definitely a stimulant. Somebody asked me, what do you think about Taoism? C.ROHH. Yeah. I think that's probably my favorite question I've gotten in a long time. And the reason is, so I'm a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. So I was in school for about 6 years studying everything there is to know about Chinese medicine. And Chinese medicine is a Taoist philosophy. So all of Chinese medicine is based on Taoism. We had to read the Tao Te Ching for school, So literally, if you're an acupuncturist, if you're a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, then Taoism, you are by default a Taoist. The entire system of medicine is based on yin and yang. Most people say yang, but it's actually pronounced yang, right? Yin, the passive, feminine principle, right? Cooling, yang being the masculine, active, right? Heating principle, right? And it's not whether you're a man or a woman per se. There's, we all have these aspects within us, just different balances of them, of course, right? The yin and the yang. Taoism is based on basically observing the patterns of nature, the cycles of nature, how Mother Nature works, right? With the ebb and flow of light and dark, sunlight, nighttime, right? Sun takes over, then the moon takes over, then the sun takes over again, moon takes over again. This spinning wheel of the dynamic interplay of opposites. And that's Taoism for you, So you can really look at and apply that Taoist philosophy to your life in a lot of different ways. If you just look at, is there an area where I have too much yang, not enough yin, or too much yin, not enough yang? Our diagnostic system in Chinese medicine, we might diagnose you with having, say, for example, kidney yang deficiency, right? It means that basically, in a sense, the kidneys, which are also related to the adrenals, right? And relating to things like your overall vitality, energy levels, hormone function, sexual function, all that sort of thing. If you don't have enough yang there, then you're going to have, that part of you is going to be hypoactive, right? And you need to strengthen that, right? Some of the things that we use at CHOQ, like Shilajit, are definitely that, right? But then if you have a yin deficiency, then you might be overheating because yin is cooling and calming. And you might be sort of irritable and sort of like that, right? So basically, somebody says glasses worsen your eyesight. That's funny. Yeah, these aren't prescription. These are actually blue blocking glasses. And when I wear them, they have a really nice kind of calming effect. So it's almost like color therapy. For some reason they seem to help me focus. Also, I am staring into a screen right now, and so this helps to protect my eyes against the artificial light from the phone that I'm looking into right now. So yeah. But anyway, so Taoism, Chinese medicine is 100% based on Taoism. And so I am a Taoist by training. Any doctor of Chinese medicine is basically a Taoist, That is the fundamental philosophy behind all of Chinese medicine. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Somebody says, Tao of the CHOQ. It's funny. Take the CHOQ. Absorb the CHOQ. That is hilarious. All right. Somebody's asking about CHOQ and brain health. We don't necessarily have products that are for brain health specifically, although we will in the future, I can guarantee. Can't say when, but I guarantee at some point we will have some stuff for brain. However, I will say that Shilajit is excellent. I think if you're looking to support healthy neurological function, Shilajit is fantastic. That's a really, really big one because Shilajit has been used for things like mood and focus classically, but also it helps with mitochondrial function. It has a compound called urolithin A in it, and it's fantastic. Urolithin A works with CoQ10 and works in the same part of the mitochondria as CoQ10 to help with energy production. And just remember, anytime you're talking about brain function, you want to be looking at mitochondrial energy production, because mitochondrial energy production is essential for especially for these high energy demand organs like the brain. The brain needs a massive amount of energy. Your brain only weighs like 10-ish pounds, something like that. Don't quote me on that, maybe 12, I don't know. 12 pounds. And it uses I think 15-20% of the energy in your body. It uses a huge amount of energy. So when we're talking about brain function, think about mitochondrial energy production. Action 2.0 would be another one to look into. Action 2.0 also for mitochondrial energy production, but also for nitric oxide, which gets better blood flow to the brain. And then also, of course, the nitric oxide you need for your immune system. Nitric oxide helps with that as well, not just with blood flow. Somebody's asking about PQQ. PQQ is a pretty cool one, yeah, for sure. PQQ is highly synergistic with things like Shilajit and CoQ10. I've even seen some formulas out there that combine all three of them together. Yeah, absolutely. All right, what else we got here? Will you be making adaptogens? Elevon Wolf. So yeah, CHOQ is all about adaptogens. Pretty much all of our products contain adaptogens, almost all of them, I would say. So yeah, CHOQ is an adaptogen-friendly company. We love them. We put them in just about everything. CHOQ Men's Daily, filled with adaptogens like Shilajit. We do a Shilajit standalone. Action 2.0 has rhodiola, fantastic adaptogen. We put adaptogens in most of our things. So yeah, absolutely. Somebody else says, I'm spreading the word, Randy419. Appreciate that. That's awesome. All right, very cool. Let's see what else we got. Oh, somebody's asking about where the glasses can be purchased. These are a brand called Swanwick, SWANWICK. We're in no way affiliated with them, but they are pretty stylish for blue blockers. I don't need glasses. I have good vision, actually. I'm just wearing them to block blue light to protect my eyes right now. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got. Do you believe we must always be detoxing, taking care of gut and liver? Yeah, and actually, speaking of the CHOQ blog, I will say, Elevon Wolf, if you're still on, let me find a really cool one for you. So I wrote this one before New Year's about liver health, and it's called How to Party Smart and Save Your Liver. It's not just about alcohol, but I thought since it was before New Year's I'm sure probably a lot of you don't drink, but probably some of you do. For those who do, but really this article, again, I know this is backwards, but How to Party Smart and Save Your Liver. This article right here does go into a lot of depth on, it does talk about alcohol, but it goes into a lot of depth on glutathione and how important that is for liver function and how important detoxification and liver function is for your total vitality. So yeah, I do think we should always be detoxing. I think that obviously Apex Glutathione, when it comes back out, is a great product for that. CHOQ Armor has some detoxifying effects as well. So does Shilajit. Shilajit is a great detoxifier. But then also making sure you have enough fruits and vegetables in your diet, whether you eat meat or not. If you don't eat meat, that's fine. If you do eat meat, just make sure you're not eating too much of it, because there's not enough room for fruits and vegetables when you have giant amounts of meat and oil and bread and things like that in your diet. So, obviously a more plant-forward diet is really important for detox as well. And of course, as I'm sure all of you guys already know, lots and lots of clean water, very, very critical too. Celery juice is also really is one of the most powerful medicines in existence. Anthony William, medical medium, done great work with the whole celery juice thing, so I highly recommend that too. Yeah. And somebody said too much masculine energy in the world. And the thing is, it's not about masculine itself, it's about the negative masculine. So, there's this differentiation between sort of the divine masculine, which is the helpful, leadership, active, responsible, true man form of masculinity. And then there's the broken masculine, which is more like boy instead of man. The broken masculine is aggressive for no reason. It's dominating, right? It violates boundaries. It does a bunch of horrible stuff. And I think the majority of what, we're seeing from a lot of people is that it's not the divine masculine. But the problem is with people saying that, yeah, sure. You could say men have screwed up the world, there's a lot of reality to that for sure. I wouldn't totally disagree with that. However, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater and just say that, we have to trash masculinity in general and trash everything that is male, because that will result in complete disaster. Within both men and women, we need both masculine and feminine qualities to some extent to have a balanced person. So you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater and just say everything that's masculine is bad. It doesn't work that way. And that's what a lot of people are trying to do. They're trying to feminize men, tell them you're not allowed to have a healed divine masculine. You have to just be more feminine in general. And that actually leads to repression of the positive masculine qualities. And what it actually does is it actually creates more broken masculine. So if you try to feminize a man, what you're doing is you're actually inducing more of the broken masculinity and repressing that part. And it's going to come out later through anger and all sorts of other negative qualities. So that doesn't work. So the real goal there, and again, just goes back to Taoism, yin and yang, right? You can't not have masculine. You can't not have feminine, right? You have to have both. You have to have both yin and yang. You want a healed, balanced version of both. So you want to treat the broken masculine that makes men act like boys and like children and do stupid things. You want to heal that, right? And you want to replace it with true divine masculine, true leadership, right? Which is obviously easier said than done. But trying to suppress everything masculine will only horribly backfire, because that just shows total ignorance of the human psyche. You know, within a woman, you don't want to completely suppress masculinity either. Women need masculinity. Men need femininity, right? Different ratios, obviously, for different people and what works for them. But we all need both qualities, and we want them to be in balance within each other. Yeah. So let's see what else we got here. Yin and yang both needed. Yeah. I've been sauteing my celery. Interesting. But yeah, the celery juice, I have to tell you, is fantastic. We need more divine masculine and feminine. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you guys, again, we're not affiliated with Medical Medium, but I love his protocols. I use his information for myself and also for my clients. I think he's fantastic. Yeah, it's his stuff is great. So, if you want to take your healing to the next level, definitely check out some of Anthony Williams' stuff. I think it's awesome. And a lot of the herbs he recommends are some of the same herbs we use in CHOQ. Like he recommends rhodiola. He recommends lemon balm. There's some other ones that, let's see, I'm trying to remember here. Oh, ones that I'm working on, my new formula are several Medical Medium herbs for sure. So yeah, Medical Medium's great. I do really love his stuff. And I personally have used his information to upgrade my health massively. Yeah. Could you speak about divine feminine energy? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely essential, and the divine feminine has been suppressed. I believe 100% has been suppressed for a while by the broken masculine, right? The shadow side of the masculine. And that coming back is a big deal. It really is, It's absolutely essential. And that's where the nurturing and the compassion comes from, that humanity actually needs to heal itself, is the divine feminine. And of course, that's something that can be present in a man or a woman, right? Nothing wrong with divine feminine. It's super important. It's that energy that gets people to lay down their swords and to just chill out and to forgive each other. And we definitely need more of that. It's the energy that avoids war, So, yeah, I think that's a big deal. But yeah, I don't know, if you guys are interested in this kind of stuff. From the man psychology aspect, there's a book called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. There's a female version of that as well, but those are like the 4 primary archetypes of for men. And then I guess it's like queen, warrior, priestess, lover for women or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway, the 4 dominant archetypes for both men and women, and how they interact in the psyche. It's kind of based on thinkers like Carl Jung, stuff like that. Really interesting information. Maybe we'll do a blog or a video on that stuff at some point. But yeah, I'm gonna finish up here. But yeah, just I like to do stuff like this, just to let you guys know that when you bring in all the different tools, you get the best results and quality of life. And when you add the adaptogens and the other superfoods, right, and all the fruits and vegetables, and you add this other stuff and you stack it on top, knowledge of psychology, knowledge of yourself, emotional healing, meditation, etc. All that in total will give you the best results. So I like to kind of switch it up a little bit and just put some interesting stuff out there that's a little bit outside the box, and this is one of those things. So awesome. All right, well, this was a lot of fun. I will talk to you guys soon. Until then, stay human.